I've had the Apple Watch Ultra for 2 days now, 2 whole days, and yeah, I've got some thoughts and feelings about it. For one, very bulky watch, and some people say they can't tell the difference, they don't notice a difference. Visually, definitely it does look larger. Of course, it's thicker, it's fatter, bigger battery, so that way you get 36-hour, more than 1 day battery life, and it's still comical to me when we're talking about an Apple Watch. So the Apple Watch Series 7, Series 8, they talk about, actually I've got mine right here, 18-hour all-day battery. Only Apple could say they get 18-hour all-day battery. There's not 18 hours in a day. There's 24 hours in a day. And I get a lot of people who say, well, who cares? You can charge it. You're not going to, it's not like you're going to use sleep tracking and sleep with it on anyway. Well, yeah, exactly. That's what you're going to do. And that's exactly the problem. That's one of the reasons why having the Series 7, I decided to get the Ultra. Because I want to be able to use it as it's intended to and not have to charge it every night before I go to sleep. It's very inconvenient. Yes, I know it's just putting it on a charger, but it's one of those things where I'll put it on the charger and then I'll forget to put it back on before I go to bed. Now, that was a major selling point. What was it with the Series 6? They came out with the sleep tracking stuff, and it kind of tells you some of your habits and how long you've been in deep sleep, all those great things. So it's actually a really nice feature, very thoughtful feature that I'd actually like to take advantage of. The 18-hour all-day battery is just not working for me. This one came out of the box. It had about 85% battery, did all my initial setup, did all my transfer, restore, all that jazz, made it 2 days. So it'll actually, depending on what time, I mean, if you start at 2 o'clock in the morning, it might not make it till the full 2 days, but I think that it will. And depending on usage as well, how much you're using it, how much you're interacting with it, I think that it'll be all right. But you can at least, this was the big thing for me. When it came to the Series 7, I couldn't use it all day, all night, and then the next day until I got home in the evening from work. So this will do that, and that's what I'm grateful for. As long as I can get that continuity, carry over to the next evening, plug it in, and then be good for another 2 days, I'm all right with that. Especially with my Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, I'm getting about 3 to 4 days with it, and I really enjoy that watch a lot. And it kind of frustrates me using this because, well, I can't use two smartwatches, and that's the one thing that I really hate when it comes to the Apple Watch, because it really locks you into the ecosystem. It's not like I can use my Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. I can use that on a lot of other Android phones. You just download the software. You can still take advantage of it and use the features. You can use this on an iPhone. So if you don't want to be stuck using an iPhone all the time, maybe don't invest in an Apple Watch, because it's really hard to pry yourself away. This has always been the hardest part of prying myself back away and using an Android phone again, because you're locked in. And how are you going to be like, well, you're going to set a $700, $800 watch on the table and just not use it? That's not a really realistic scenario, and you're not going to get that kind of money if you try and resell it. I don't like the Alpine Loop, and some people pointed it out. I did have it on backwards the first day I set it up. I'm sorry, never used one before. I don't really care for it. It's gotten a little bit easier as I've been using it. I tried putting it on my left wrist the way it was supposed to. That lasted about a day, and it was actually kind of hurting my wrist because it kept digging into the side. I don't know. I'm just not used to wearing a watch on my left wrist, even though I'm right-handed. I always wear it on my right one. So wearing it is fairly comfortable enough. I don't like this metal clip. It does keep dinging my screen, and I do worry that it's going to crack it or scratch it, even though it is a sapphire crystal. I just don't like the design on here, period. So I'm probably going to get a different watch band to use with it. The screen is gorgeous. Like, I love the screen on here. I love the little compass too. As you rotate it and turn it, the bezel for the compass changes. That's really cool. I wish that it didn't do this all the time because it's continually asking for the password. The little alarm thing on here, the audible alarm, is kind of neat. I'll show it to you. It's loud. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I was playing with it the other day, and my wife was like, "What in the world are you doing?" Here we go. Audible alarm. Siren. Here we go. Shoot. What's my password again? So let's try this again. Get the siren. There we go. Starts off quiet, gets louder. So that's it. Pretty cool, but it also brings up the emergency call where you can do that too. Some people said you could hear it maybe up to like a mile away. Some people said, or half a mile. Some people say like 600 meters or 600 feet. It's enough to where if somebody's looking for you and they're in the close proximity, probably within a football field or two, they should be able to hear it. And that's really what you want. This is not something that's going to draw people in from a mile away like, oh, we know he's that way. But if they're looking for you in the right area, it should be enough, especially if you're tired, maybe dehydrated or weak, you've been lost for a day or two and you can't yell very loud. I don't know how long it will last. I need to do some reading on that, but it is pretty neat. That's a nice feature that's in there. Of course, you get the stuff. You can do your ECG, electrocardiogram. It has the heart rhythm detection on here for the atrial fibrillation. You have the temperature setting in here with the thermometer, whatever it is. So you can, if you're a woman, you can do that and check for your historical data for temperature changes for the cycle tracking. You get the action button over here on the side. So you get a secondary button. I have mine set up for the stopwatch, but when it's set up, you can program it for a lot of different things. If you are a hiker, if you like to go out and do long distance running, you can set it up for waypoints, which is nice. Better GPS. I believe it's got better GPS anyway. Better microphones for talking on the phone. And the screen is beautiful. It's definitely very big. This is a very big watch. Like, especially if you put them side by side, it is significantly larger, thicker. Then you look at the crown. The crown is larger. I do like the crown, but it also has this bar around it that I don't like how that's kind of there. But comfortability-wise, it is noticeable in difference. Like, I didn't normally wear a watch on my left wrist. I put it on there. It felt very heavy and cumbersome. Definitely not something I was used to. Wearing it on my right wrist where I'm used to wearing a watch more often, it wasn't as bad. It's not as bad as my heavy Timex or Citizen watch, so I will give them that. I like the materials on here. I like the titanium. I like the sapphire crystal glass on here. There's a lot that I do like about it. I wish that it contoured better to the wrist. Like my Galaxy watch has, I think, a little bit of curvature towards the edges. This one very much does not. I do find the Apple Watch Series 7 to be pretty comfortable. It takes a little bit more getting used to. Probably as I wear it for a couple of days, it'll get better. I'm 2 days into this experiment now. I think it's worth the money because most people that would buy this, one, it's got LTE functionality. So it's got the LTE built in that's already like $100 more than the normal Wi-Fi version. And the normal one is what, like $429 anyway? So we're looking at about $379, $370 extra. If you get the stainless steel model, which if you're interested in getting that, there's not a whole lot of difference in the price, much less than the regular watch. So if you want something more premium, you want an all the time go-to watch, this is not just for normal people. A lot of normal people will buy it. And that's my kind of consistency. I'm a normal person. I did play Dance Dance Revolution earlier, and I tested it out. My heart rate was through the roof because I'm fat and out of shape. It's one of those things where if you could get the regular Apple Watch, it'll probably do just fine. I don't want to insult anyone. I'm pointing that finger back at me. I'm very fat and out of shape, and I physically cannot run. I'm very disabled from when I was in the military. I can't run, so I can't go hiking. At least not serious hiking up mountains. I can't do mountain climbing. I can't really do scuba diving. I can't wear all that stuff. I can't go jogging. I can't go running. So most of the features on here are very much lost on me. But I do like the additional battery. It does everything the normal Apple Watch does. Also has the new crash detection, the emergency SOS message stuff. So there are a lot of things in here that I think are worthwhile. If you want the premium experience, if you want a bigger, bulkier watch, this definitely isn't really for women. Unless you're like Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. Not trying to insult any women, but I know women who have tried this out, who have looked at it, and if you've got a very small wrist, and you're already using a small watch, and the small watch is engulfing your wrist, this is not for you. This is very big, so I would definitely go look at it in person if you're considering it. They very much kind of modeled this for men, for large people. And I'm 6 foot tall, pretty big guy, and it's still very large on my wrist. A lot of people are like, wow, that looks huge on your wrist. My wife tried to put it on, and she's like, this thing is like basically having a cell phone on my wrist. It's so big. So, yeah, that's just kind of how it is. It's very large, bulky, more cumbersome watch. It loses out a lot of that sleek and kind of minimalistic approach to it. This is not something that you're going to be wearing probably with a tuxedo. I guess you can, but it doesn't look as professional or as sleek as something like this with the more subdued bands on it. Maybe a stainless band like I have from Nomad. But overall, I think it's cool. It reminds me a lot of the Dick Tracy watch from when I was a kid. I'm sorry, my voice is kind of going out. Yeah, the screen, big, bright, beautiful. I love it. I love the screen. I love the typing on it. You can get the pop-up notifications on it. This is probably the biggest screen on any watch I've used, very comparable with my Galaxy Watch Pro 5. But otherwise, yeah, it's really expensive. If you like it, go get it. It's definitely the latest Apple status symbol for sure out of the market. The latest thing to make people feel like their other watch is inferior and they have a cheap version. And that's something that Apple does. They like to have that more luxury, more expensive, more elitist FOMO when it comes to their products, and this one definitely does it. But so far, I like it. I've been enjoying it. And I'm going to sign off because I can't talk much more. But that's all I got. If you have any questions or comments, please go into the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this helpful, if you like the insight here, I try to do things kind of on a very common sense, layman's terminology, not just talking about specs and stuff, but it's definitely a neat piece of technology, especially if you're a nerd or a geek and you love all this cool tech and new stuff. So that's all I got. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.